Welcome everybody to our July Golf Committee meeting, Lower Makefield Township Golf Committee meeting for Makefield Highlands Golf Club. Richard Eisner, chairman of the committee. We have our members joining us: Jim Richardson, Dave Dillio, Joe Daddario, Helen Bosley, Colin Marsh. I hear Tim Collins just joining. And from Spirit Golf, we have Mike Atara and Ed Gibson. And I'm going to turn it over to Spirit.
Thanks, Rich. Mike Atara here. We will just jump into it, I guess. I know we sent everything over this afternoon, so if you want, I'll go over the financial statements quickly that we sent over. If there's any questions, we can kind of stop and go through them, and then I'll let Ed jump into the benchmarks a little bit for you, and we'll go from there. So we sent over the profit and loss January through June. If we kind of focus in on June right now, I think we can see that the golf course continues to be very busy on the golf side. You see green fees and cart fees. Cart fees were within a couple $100 of revenue budget, 72,779, and green fees were slightly under budget at 193. Budget was 208. So pretty good result on the golf side. Obviously, food and beverage, different story with COVID, but still producing some revenue with the outdoor operation that we're running. $34,000 of revenue, which really, is a bev cart and then takeout, and now with the patio being open. So pretty decent as far as we can get. We're still at a point, right now where, just a little shy of break even on the restaurant. We're losing a couple of dollars on the restaurant side, but all things considered, not too bad at this point. Keeping the staff in place and just managing as best we can. Merchandise also challenging with having the shop really kind of partially open. We're still kind of in that place of just getting people in a couple at a time so that they can, check in. So there's not a lot of shopping going on like normally, but we're getting some things going on. I'll let Ed talk a little bit about the fitting, but we had a great fitting program that happened this weekend, and so we're going to start doing some programs that we can take our merchandising outdoors a little bit more. Same thing with lessons, and those things are again just starting to come back, but getting some instruction going on now. Some of the programs for the juniors are starting to happen, so we'll start seeing some result in July there. Range is over budget. We did over 2,000 ahead of budget on the driving range. It's been busy. It's a good escape for folks to get out and hit some golf balls. So that's good to see. So revenues ended up 144 below budget, 345,000 total income. Flip back down to expenses. Obviously, cost of goods are under budget in F&B, with revenues being down. So savings of about 22,000 against budget. Cost of goods merchandise, same there, 9,000 versus a budget of 20. So obviously spending less money on inventory at this point. So cart expense, we had some repairs and maintenance going in there this month. We're at the very final stage of the cart lease, and I'm going to be talking about that a little bit in more detail later. But the cart lease is up in August. So we'll give you an update on that. But we do have some repairs, some things are starting to go. We're just trying to keep everything together with the current fleet. So a little bit over budget, about $1,000 there. Course and grounds was under budget by $10,000 for the month. So good result there. Nothing too surprising, just some timing stuff. Chemicals a little under. They were over last month, so just a little bit of catch up there. Food and beverage overall was $3,500 in expenses. Budget was $10,000. So again, another savings of about $6,400. G&A was slightly over budget, $19,000 versus $17,000, which was the budget. And really all of that is credit card processing, because obviously right now with doing very little cash, the cost of processing the credit cards for the customer, that 2.5% or so that we pay, is putting us over budget. It was $4,000 over budget. But that's to be expected, obviously, with where we're going. And golf ops was just about at budget, saved about $1,200 for the month. So overall expenses, $62,000 versus budget of $77,000. So operating costs were down 15. I'll just jump to the end with payroll. Total payroll was 90,000 on a budget of 117, so a $27,000 savings in labor. And obviously most of that's some F&B savings, and just trying to manage through as best we can, knowing revs are down. So net income 170, budget of 402. So still making revenue, but we're quite a bit behind with the overall budget. So and there is, make sure that one number. Okay. All right. So I'll stop there. Does anybody have any questions at this point?
Yeah. I'm sorry. All your numbers, unfortunately, just get jumbled up a little bit. You're saying that our overall revenue has come in considerably less than projected plans. Is that correct, Mike?
Yeah, Tim, exactly. Majority of it coming from food and beverage revenue, with the restaurant being.
If we take out food and beverage and we just go solely with golf revenue, our number of rounds are up considerably, correct?
For the month, remember, this is yes, for this month the rounds were, I'm looking right now, sorry. Ed, where do you have it? It's on the second page?
Yeah, so if you look, Tim, if you look at just the numbers just for June related to rounds,
62.59.
we had a budget of 6,200 rounds for the month of June, and we did 56.95 for June as far as rounds were concerned.
Okay, I'm unfortunately, Ed, I don't have any numbers in front of me. When we talked about 6,200 rounds projected for June,
right?
Where did we base that number from? Last year's June?
Tim, when we do the budgeting, we have we kind of sit with the committee, and then we have like a subcommittee for the budget, and we do projections based on the previous 8-9 years of numbers. So we do all our basis based on historicals. So that's basically how we do it.
Okay, so what we're saying is that based on the past 8-9 years, our numbers came in lower for the month of June that we had originally projected based on last numbers. But Mike and Ed, forgive me, I'm not a numbers guy. That golf course is day after day after day, correct?
Is what is packed? Is that what you said?
Our tee times are booked day after day after day.
Yeah, it's very busy. Yes,
very busy.
So one thing we got to remember, sorry to interrupt, is that in the budget was based on 10-minute tee times. We are now at 12-minute tee times, so that's a 15% differential. So if you normalize the number, I think they are going to be pretty close to the budgeted number in number of rounds. The number of rounds to help you, Tim and Dave, both new guys to the committee, that's equivalent to starts. So you could have 9-hole rounds, not back the early birds. It all goes into the number. So we're not doing outings right now. We don't have the leagues. So you're 100% correct. The tee sheet is full, but 12 minutes means 5 tee times an hour versus 10 minutes, 6 tee times an hour. It's about a 15% differential. So it would be interesting, Mike, if you guys could normalize the number to a 10-minute tee time and see what that looks like, and see if that makes up the difference. Because I understand.
Yeah.
Agree
Yeah,
with
good point, Rich. We can definitely do that, and also the time in we have a little bit of reduced hours. Again, just trying to manage what we have to for COVID with cart cleaning and different things. It's a little more intensive than it's been, obviously. So those things also need to come into account, but we can definitely do that.
Yeah, and as we kind of piggyback off that thought, kind of certainly all those comments are certainly true. And we go in when I dive into the June numbers a little bit. I know Mike kind of was going over against budget, but as mentioned, in June our first tee time starts at 6:30 a.m. and in June our last tee time start was 6 p.m. From the start to the finish, they're all 12 minutes. So as we just mentioned, but the one thing to keep in mind as we play out for July, it's going to be kind of a good test to see where we're going to be, because in July we start at 6 a.m. and we run through 7 p.m. And what we decided to do is the first hour of the day and the last hour of the day, we went to 10-minute intervals. And then the bulk of the day, we went to 12s for multiple reasons. And so we're already averaging almost 237 to 240 rounds per day in July, whereas in June, we were a little bit around 202 or something like that. So I think we'll get a pretty good idea how July plays out with, looking at the intervals, longer days, and things like that. So it all duly noted.
So if we normalize to last year, where we had in June tee time starting at 6 in the morning and ending whenever they ended at 10 minutes a tee time versus what we have now, so 6:30 and you just went to 6 o'clock for 10-minute tee times. It'd be interesting to see. Maybe it's more than 15%, but I don't.
Yeah, I think it is once you add in the extra time. Correct.
Yeah, because
I agree.
If you look at just green fees just for June, June 2019, which is obviously, all 10-minute tee times, was 207,793 as far as just green fees. And we look at June for 2020 this year, which we had a shortened time frame like we just talked about, and 12-minute tee times, we were at green fees at 193,490. So even with that restriction, we were only off on green fees a little over 14,000. So certainly the days we've been open, June was a great month weather. So there's no question. Those of you that have been out there to play, we're busy every day. So.
Yes, the demand is still high, and obviously as we continue to make these adjustments, Tim, we'll continue to see increases. Just looking back in last year, June was good weather month, 495,000 in income. So the budget number is legitimate. I mean, that's what we probably would have done in a normal year. So. Does anybody have any other questions on the budget? Good. Okay. So Ed, why don't you jump in and we'll go through the benchmarks, and then we'll work our way down to the agenda.
Okay. The agenda that was sent out to all of you, the top part, which are the benchmarks, as Mike was mentioning. The first line is just rounds, the total rounds played through June. We have a total rounds played of 14,810 rounds in June 30th. So against a budget of 18,600. So we're about 2,000 rounds off from where we were this time last year. You know, we had 61 days closed. So a lot of those obviously would fall in the month of April, because we still had about 2.5 weeks in March that we were closed. As you look at the green fees, 461,938 so far this year. Cart fees were at 156,218. So total green fees and carts this year was 618,156. This time last year, like we were just touching on, but for total for the year, this time last year we were at 759,077. The range fees so far this year were a little over 60,000. Last year through June, we were a little over 78. Shop merchandise, we're about 25,000, and last year we were at 75. So again, all relative to what we were just talking about with the year to date. And then obviously with the food and beverages, the biggest hit. This time last year, just the public house revenue alone was basically 200,000. And this year, currently we're at 48,776, just under 50,000. Also the banquets and events, we only had 12,310 against 93,500 versus last year. So total rev for food and beverage as we stand through the end of June for this year is 61,086. And this time last year we had 293,000 in food and beverage. So that's obviously, you know, our biggest COVID related hit here. So you'll see those numbers on the agenda if you look at it. And as we go through kind of our golf update, I won't read all the details, but I'll just try to highlight them a little bit. Certainly June was our first month of our green phase, and you know, the green phase protocols were implemented, and the team at the club really has handled this ongoing with the organization and teamwork. I'm very grateful for the management team as we're working through this every day. As we mentioned, you know, golf really hasn't had much effect going from yellow to green, other than we're, you know, certainly we've talked about the tee times. We've done some certain things on the golf course as far as safety and the, you know, the protocols we've kind of kept in place with the flag sticks, no bunker rakes on course, no water coolers, things like that. So we've kept all that the same. The one thing that really has changed is, you know, in green, we're able to have 2 riders in the cart as we encourage the, you know, players having face coverings. Certainly, Makefield Highlands, you know, allows customers to have a individual cart. You know, what we're doing is we're just charging a small upcharge for that for a 9-hole cart fee, which is $12 additional fee. So we certainly want customers to know that if they choose to take a separate cart based on a pre-existing condition or just not knowing somebody, they certainly can do that. So we've been managing that along the way. The park and play has been going well. You know, obviously food and beverage, once we were able to get into the building, as far as the restaurant goes, as far as the green phase, we were at 50% capacity. And we still had our outdoor dining on the patio and the deck and curbside. Those components were still moving. Obviously, with a little bit of a step backwards about a week or so ago, when the governor said that our indoor capacity had to be reduced to 25%. So, you know, we've kind of made adjustments to make sure the floor plan is laid out as such. You know, we're really taking a fine-tooth comb to this as well, because that number, that 25% indoor capacity, technically also means staff, floor staff. So, you know, we're right now at 24 seats indoors with not one seat at the bar, because that's the way it's laid out. And the other component of it is customers, when they're indoors or outdoors, if they're to have alcohol, they technically have to have some type of food being served. So we're certainly making sure that the front of the house staff knows, because we have a lot of hourly staff in and out part-time. So myself and the other managers are making sure we're all consistent with the message, and we don't let things kind of get loose. But the outdoor dining and the patio really has kind of gone through a nice little reface a little bit. We've taken down with open air. Mike is, we chatted with Shannon, and the big tent came down. We have a much smaller tent. Really, if you haven't been there, you should come check it out a little bit. It's really pretty out there. People feel, certainly they're welcome. It's, not to say it was not pretty in the past, but I just think it has a new look. Just a really nice feel. So, the 4th of July weekend, we did our first party on the patio. That's Friday the 3rd. We probably had about somewhere between 45 and 55 covers just on the patio and on the deck. So it was a nice, and this, Jim, as you mentioned earlier in the meeting, having some different items on the menu and music and things like that's been going really well. So we'll continue to do. Certainly, we're making sure we're following all the guidelines, as it's a moving target, as we all know.
Ed, do you mind if I jump in just on a couple of things, just to kind of catch up? The just going back to the tee times. The other thing I wanted to mention, there is about a 3-week drag because of the advanced tee times. So once we got told we can go back to green to make that adjustment, it took us time because we had our tee times already booked, so we couldn't just overnight make the adjustment. And unfortunately, these guidelines are coming out, it's basically they come out and you have to make the changes right away. So in this case, where we went from yellow to green, there was some time in order to get those tee times adjusted so that we could add back that 10-minute tee time. So to that, and then now with this F&B adjustment that just came into the 25%, again, this is another bit of challenge to, we're hopeful that we could do some events indoors and have some of the smaller parties. And so now we're kind of fighting the gathering number, basically went from 250 to 25 overnight. And so that's a big adjustment. So outdoor gatherings are 250 still. So any type of golf outing or piece we're going to do, and we'll start in August with our golf outings, that will all be outdoor dining and outdoor spaced. And then just talking through the tent piece, as Ed mentioned, the tent's down. Shannon came to us from Open Air Affairs, and we didn't have an event scheduled, any big event scheduled till later in the season. So he had a lot of high demand for that tent, and asked if he could take the tent and use it for this period of time, which we thought was a good idea, because that ability to really create this fresh air dining feel out on that patio and use all that space with the umbrellas, to us is just a much, much better feel, and something we're going to be marketing now. So I'll say we won't use the words party on the patio going forward. It's really going to be just music on Fridays and fresh air dining, because that's a feel that we think people are going to be comfortable with. And I've gone out and dined a little bit myself, and I could tell you, Makefield, that patio is tremendous. It is a comfortable, safe place to feel to get out and dine. So I had my parents out there, a couple of tables away from us, and it was really nice. So that's really a piece that we're going to focus to try to drive home and let people know. So yeah, I just wanted to jump in there. Thanks.
Oh yeah, please, absolutely.
It's sweating on the patio now.
Yeah.
The good thing is there's always air moving at Makefield, so that's a good thing. No, we've had a lot of nice compliments. Again, those of you that have been there, hopefully, you're getting a chance to experience it and enjoy it as well. So as Mike said, we're just continuing to try to find ways and making everyone feel comfortable and safe is the most important as well. So Did want to mention something on the golf side. Mike, you may want to jump on this a little bit more with timing. We've been using T-Snap as our point of sale system, I guess a little bit over 2 years now. And, there's been some different challenges on the back end, behind the scenes a little bit. They're starting to go through a little bit of a change on their end. And so, Mike and I and Spirit, we've been looking at another system that runs very, very parallel to it. Two other golf facilities in the country running it. Mike knows a little bit more in detail with upper management with 4UP, but I think the timing might be in September.
Yeah, so we're going to move forward. We're going to make the change. We're looking to start in August, start transitioning. We'll run parallel systems for at least a month, and then if it's smooth, we'll flip in September. If we need more time, we have time to do the flip, and but our goal would be September 1 to make the change. T-Snap is unfortunately going through some financial issues, like a lot of businesses, and they were supposed to be bought. They're owned by an airline company, so you can imagine that airline company is not funding them like they were hoping. And then part of the sale was they were going to carry something for one of the higher up managers was going to take over the business, but that whole deal kind of fell through on them. So they're in a tough spot. And it's been challenging, and we just want to be, ahead of the curve. We don't want to be in the middle of the season have an issue where we can't manage that park and play and the things we're trying to do with all this hands-free system. So the new system, excellent system. We're really excited about it. It's even a little simpler to manage and deal with, and I think from the customers end, it'll really be a nice piece. So, is there a significant price point difference going from one company to another? We'll actually save about $3,000 on the new one. Good.
Yeah, and it's still an iCloud-based system, so the customer's still going to, like Mike mentioned, the customer's still going to feel, we want them to feel the same experience that they've already been feeling, with the park and play, the profile enabling, all those things to just enhance it even more. And I think we'll be able to get back to our loyalty program more consistently and really have a nice piece there to kind of add that value to the customer, which we've been struggling with T-Snap on that side of things. So I think it's good in a lot of ways. So
Ed, what's the name of the new company?
It's called 4UP. FOREUP. 4UP. I think Torrey Pines in San Diego is running it. Of course, Disney. I know the ones up in New York. Beth Page. There's some of the bigger facilities have been using it, and again, some of the management components or the development of it is very similar to T-Snap. So there's a lot of parallels, but it's basically just has a lot more bells and whistles. So they're excited.
Yeah.
All right. We'll just kind of get through the rest of the June real quick. I know I don't want to keep circling back to it, but just off the agenda, as we mentioned earlier, round count just for June was 5695 against a budget of 6200. The green fees just for the month were 193,488 against a budget of 204. Cart fees were 72,779 against a budget of 69,800. Range fees were 29,197 against a budget of 26,000. And merch for the month was 10,500 against a budget of 21,000. So again, we touched on a little bit of why those numbers are where they are. So I want to kind of circle back to that. Just want to keep moving on the agenda side because I know this next bullet is a rather important one with our cart lease. It's expiring the end of next month, August 31st. So the three vendors that Mike and I have been in communication with have been obviously our current cart, which is Club Car, Yamaha, and easy go. So, we've been able to kind of put together a little bit of a recommendation. Mike, I don't know if you wanted to jump in a little bit here on this point.
Yeah, something certainly we want to talk about. Very important. This past cart lease, we had some challenges as we entered the last year with the fleet. Again, it really kind of rolls back to, this is a really busy golf course and does a lot of cart rounds. The general rule of thumb for these cart vendors on a lead acid battery, which is kind of the plain battery that we've always been in a golf cart, has been a 4-year warranty with up to 25,000 amp hours. So when you're doing a lot of rounds of golf, some of our amp hours were over that 25,000. So we had some challenges with the warranty. We did work with our local distributor, and he did the best he could to try to make it right, because he obviously had to work with his dealer club car to work through the warranty piece. But he got us some inexpensive rentals. He loaned us some carts. He did what he had to do to kind of get us through. But the cart itself was pretty disappointing that, we kind of got to where we were at the end there. Looking ahead, there's some new technology out there that we've been exploring. Obviously, batteries have changed quite a bit, and there's some options with some more efficient batteries, and those batteries are unfortunately a little more expensive than, as you can imagine. So, upside of that is you get 5-year warranty on them, but they're a lot more expensive. As we looked at some different things, we brought in a couple of gas carts. The Yamaha Quiet Tech cart is a pretty impressive cart. I think a few of you did get a chance to test drive it, and sounded like from the feedback we got from the committee and from other folks that have tried it, pretty impressive. Very quiet cart. And really our goal right now is reliability, right? Trying to make sure we got reliability. And then the other flip side is pricing's got to be there. So the Quiet Tech cart, because it's a gas cart, got much better residuals. So the lease numbers come in a lot better. We can actually save money on the cart lease and can be upgrading our fleet. Because when we're moving into the new cart, we're looking at adding USBs on the carts. We're looking at independent rear suspension on the cart, and tow bars on the cart. And the tow bars are a real cost savings for us, because right now, without having the tow bars, you're literally running each cart up from the back of the barn. So labor savings on those are will more than pay for themselves. So much more efficient way of handling it. So right now, Yamaha, the good news also is they have all their information is contracted on CoStars, which is a municipal, I'll call it a bid program. It's a way that municipalities and other government agencies in Pennsylvania can make purchases at the best price, and gives us the opportunity to even go back and negotiate. So right now we're looking at that the Yamaha Quiet Tech cart. We did confirm with the sprinkler company and fire marshal and those things, just to confirm we can bring in gas carts if we want to go forward with that. So like I said, overall costs kind of come in right with the add-ons, comes in right about where we are. And I think for Mark on the maintenance side, he'll also get an upgrade in the utility carts, and he'll get a much heavier duty cart that he'll be able to use and get a little more value out of. So any questions on that?
Yeah, Mike, is there a cost savings even besides, electricity, charging these batteries versus using gas?
They'll actually, yeah, we'll have some cost savings in two places, because the gas now is so efficient. I mean, you're only putting gas in them every 2-3 weeks,
Right.
because it gets such good fuel miles. And then you can turn them, right? You don't need, if you need to turn them 3 times, you can turn them 3 times in a day. So that's a great, if you got an outing and you got to put in an outing and then you need to flip them again, they're ready to go. And then there's, obviously the time it takes to charge carts, manage chargers, manage batteries and those things. There's a cost to that time as well. Sure.
Good.
One of the other components too is, with our building, in the basement, which is where obviously all the golf carts are stored, since we have a lot of limitations with storage in general, that cart barn, for lack of a better phrase, is a Rubik's Cube down there. So, when you add all of the different cords and things like that, I think, as Mike mentioned, we just had a number of different challenges. And, one of them, if we get let's say if a cart or the beverage cart comes through the barn, even though it's empty, if somehow a loose cord gets caught around the back of it, it gets pulled. Now the charger comes down. Maybe the charger gets, not working correctly. No one sees that. They plug it into a new cart, burns out the fuse. Now that cart can't take a charge. So I think there's just more, a lot of different challenges so we're looking at, everything from, as Mike mentioned, the reliability, the dependability, what the experience is like for the golfer too. We don't want to, try to look at a gas cart and kind of go the other direction. We know we take pride in the fact that the golf course and the experience is of a higher value. And we want to make sure that the golf cart is also, a nice car. So center console, Mike said, with USB ports, padded, kind of little padded steering wheel, that is, the rear independent rear suspension, I think, will be a nice added touch too if we depend to go in that direction. So I think there's a lot of different.
The rain cover is a lot better too because of the zipper mechanism.
I mean, that just
falling down and the magnets constantly falling on your golf bag. It was really annoying.
But I got to drive them all, and I thought that cart was the nicest of all the ones I drove.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I have a question. Do we have fuel storage to transition from a battery to a gas powered? Where is fuel going to be stored? And do we have a facility to do that, to put fuel in them? Or how is that going to work?
Yeah, we already have it, Colin, over in the maintenance building. There's we have fuel there. So it would just be we actually did it this year because the rental fleet we had was gas. So the process, we've been through it already, and the staff did well with it, no problem.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sorry, my screen just went squirrely on me. Can you still hear me?
yes.
Yeah.
All right, you guys are all dark. I see a little. Just a really.
Actually, the only dark one on my screen is you. Put the lights on. They don't cost that much.
Where do you live? I want that background for my house. You and Rich have this gorgeous golf course background.
We live right off the golf course, both of us.
Yeah. Okay.
We actually share a camper.
We're not going to get into a problem environmentally with people going from electric battery operated to gas, are we?
No, these are super efficient carts, and no, Tim, there's not at all.
Mike, I get that, but we know we have a lot of people out there that go.
They actually emit less than the batteries. When you look at the lead acid batteries and how much they emit as far as gas is actually less.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, let's keep going. So we got that. Jump back in.
I'll continue on with the golf here. I know Rich, a couple others, Joe, Blake got a chance to play we had our first association event on Saturday, July 11th. First event, during this, the COVID, and great day. Really, really good day. We had about a little over 40 players, or right around 40 players. I changed the format up a little bit. Everybody was in and out on the golf course, outside, inside. So just a really, really fun day for the players. So our next event's going to be coming up. I think it's the second or third weekend of August, the 15th, I believe. So had a few new players this year too, even despite all the the challenges with tournament golf. But We tried to lay out some of our protocols and make sure the golfers knew, what our expectations were coming in, and everybody did a great job. And I think it was a good day overall. So I was happy about that. From the Golf Academy side, Mike mentioned on it earlier. Just want to kind of go over a little bit more detail. Certainly having taught a lot on my own in the last few years, the last couple of years, as my job has changed, I'm fortunate to have the team around me. But Joe Garska, my junior coordinator, has been doing a great job with all of the junior programming and just kind of going through all the new challenges and phases and guidelines and making sure safety is at the forefront and making sure parents understand. I mean, I'm a parent myself. My daughter's in gymnastics. So, just we're trying to stay ahead of it and just trying to make sure parents and the juniors knew they have a safe place at Makefield. We want to make sure they're having fun. Joe had to cut down on obviously the student teacher ratio, so the demand was really high. But again, we're doing it, I believe, the right way from top to bottom, and I know Mike echoes that. So just really proud of how everyone's been handling it, and him in particular, as he's been taking the leadership on this. So that's been really good. We've already had 2 weeks of our 5-day junior golf camp, and Joe's been booking about 8 juniors per week. And typically we take about 15 or 16, so about 50%. And we're going to, instead of a 6 or 7 student to teacher ratio, we're down to 4 to 1. So much smaller groups, face coverings, going through all the guidelines. So it's been good. So, as we go into the second half of the summer, hope we'll see those numbers hopefully continue to grow, and then we're starting our registration for fall programming as well. Again, making sure that the adjustments are made as needed. From a club fitting standpoint, as Mike mentioned, certainly that's always something we are always trying to do a lot of, as much as we can. We've been a little restricted with demo days. We're going to try to get a couple booked for the second half of the summer, but this past weekend, Dave Smith, director of golf, and Howie, one of my teaching pros, we kind of brought back to life the wedge clinic that myself and a few others have done over the years. So we ended up having, I had 10 students in the clinic, and we sold 14 wedges overall. So, a really good evening. We're going to do it again in August. We tied some food and beverage into it on the back end. It happened to be one of the Friday nights where we had a happy hour outside. So it was last Friday. So it was really nice. It was really good to see. Another reason why we use the phrase, and I've used it before, if you build it right, they'll come, and we're fortunate to have a lot of support from our customers. So we're going to keep looking to do that. As Mike had mentioned, with just kind of the outdoor space and the dining, when it comes to our larger outings, we've reached, as we mentioned previously, all of our May and June outings have been rescheduled till August, September, and October. So our first kind of official outing, COVID-19, will be August 20th. So, we've gone through a couple phone calls with the organizers and making sure we're doing kind of a walkthrough so they know what to expect the day of, where they're going to be seating outdoors, how we're going to set things up. And I think what we're going to do on the golf side is have like 2 staging areas basically for golf carts, or maybe multiple, just so that the groups are spaced out and not everybody's all in the same place at the same time. So we're going to do follow all the guidelines as recommended based on, technically this would be our first shotgun start. So, and then as we get into September, I think we have about 3 or 4. And in October, we have about 4 or 5. So hoping for a busy fall with that. I know Mark Peterson's on the line. I'm going to kind of let him touch on a couple of the bullets here that are on the agenda. Mark, you want to jump in here?
Could I ask a question before it gets to Mark? If you
Sure. Yeah, sure.
So the wedge clinic, was that open to men and women, or how was it done? Are you thinking of other things for women just because of the situation in terms of the ladies' league?
Yeah, it was, thanks for the question. Yes, it was open up to really anyone. We probably did about a 4-week kind of ad campaign through emails, and then everything, the signups were through TSNAP. So we'll continue to do that. We'll do another one in August. I mean, I know, I'm happy to say to the committee, and I think a few of you know this, but we value Lauren, my young assistant apprentice, very well. And so we just were able to kind of get her to kind of join the management team as my shop manager / assistant golf pro. So she's really committed to getting into the program. We're supporting her along the way. So she's going to kind of be instituting a little bit of some player development programs specifically for ladies. We'll probably tie them certainly into the ladies group, but certainly add any more ladies too that are interested. So we're going to try to maybe do a separate demo day just for some ladies. So there's going to be a kind of a new little platform just for women specifically, but for the wedge clinic that was had, and we're going to have it's open to anybody who would like to sign up. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
Mark, you ready? You want to jump in, Mark?
Mark Peterson, are you there, bud?
You're on mute right now, Mark.
You're on mute.
All right.
There you go. You're good.
Yeah, we did the bunkers probably 2.5 weeks ago. Came in right on the number on the cost of that. Actually, probably a little under. They still need to be tweaked a little bit, and I haven't had the staff to kind of tamp them, to firm them up a little bit. That sand is very nice, but when I get to it, I get to it. I also got about 4 inches in the last 5 weeks. So all the storms we had, everyone's getting rain here or there. I haven't gotten any rain until we had that coastal storm. And then we got another, this, that, and the other thing recently, but not much. The other thing is the transfer pump from the 7th pond to number 9, that went out a week ago. I got it fixed today, so I'm pumping water, whatever water's left in there, over. And I've used probably 1 million gallons of city water, which equates to about $7,000. The wells just can't produce enough to keep the place green enough. And I keep things very dry there, you know that. So, any other questions?
And Mark, I have a question. The guys I play with, they said, I don't play on Fridays, but they said Friday, and I know Saturday and Sunday, we all had the same pin placements for 3 days. Is there a reason for that? I mean, would it, I don't have a problem with it, but they did.
Well, I'm lean on staff, so I really kind of predicted on how much play we have and what the conditions are, and with nobody pulling the pin out and no one really touching the edges of the cups, I kind of run it a little bit leaner. It could happen that it's 3 days, but it's usually 2 days or 3 days, depending on how much staff I have.
Thanks, Mark. I'm just trying to respond to people that are, in my ear that.
Yeah, I know. I try to do it Friday afternoon and Sunday, but depending on my staff, it's my staff is very lean to try to, save some money.
Okay, good.
If you want me to up the staff, you can tell me just.
No. You could leave the hole in the same place all season. It won't matter.
Hey, Mark, Tim Collins. I don't know if this is true or not, I heard a couple of years ago that the seal, or whatever you want to call it, on the lake on number 9 was leaking. That's
The
why
what?
we're losing so much water.
The what?
Is there a plastic seal on number 9 pond?
Yes.
I had heard, I don't know how true it was.
No, it leaks. It leaks like a sieve.
Can't answer that question.
Yeah, let me give a little background if it helps. So yes, Tim, the pond does leak. Back, I'm trying to remember the year.
It's since we've been there.
Yeah, 15 or 16. I can't remember the exact year. We did go out to bid to get a new liner put in the pond. At the same time, we also had a repair done to the well, and part of that was what they call fracking, and not fracking like gas fracking, air fracking it's called, which is just creating more space in the aquifer. And it did a really good job, and it's lasted really to this season is the first challenging period we're seeing this month, with it being as dry as it's been, where the well is not quite keeping up as much as it used to. So we did not go forward with that capital job. I think it was about $160,000 was the winning bid. We held off on that.
It was $360,000.
Okay, all right, but
yeah.
Okay, big number.
Big number.
Yeah, big number. And so at the end of the day, we did not go forward. It's worked out, till now. And we've not bought much water back in some of those dry years. We were buying up to $60,000 of water. The flip side is when you're buying water, there's no rain days, and you're making that, if you're making 15, 20,000 a day, you make it pretty quick. So that's kind of the backstory, Tim. We are getting the well looked at again, and we'll kind of report back once Mark gets some more information.
Mike, I'd like a dry lake anyway, so just let it run dry.
So one other thing, guys, when the golf course was built, and I'm looking at the committee, maybe Helen will remember this. It was permitted to pull X number of gallons from the wells. We had one of our wells failed, and it was never resurrected. We built a new well, and after that was done, the Delaware River Basin Water Commission, I may have left out a word or two, re-permitted the golf course at a lower number of gallons that we could actually pull water at, and it was probably could have been handled better in a number of ways. But it's not just the leak. We're not allowed to pull as much water as we were originally permitted and designed for. So that changed things as well.
And that's free water because of the aquifers.
Correct.
Well, what happened was they couldn't build the lake bigger because of the rock that's on the place. That lake on 9 was supposed to be another 2 acres, from what I hear. So that was another issue. On top of it, they didn't have the money. They were running out of money. And the wells just do not produce enough to give me enough water to do what I need to do. That's why they put the city water tap there in case it's dry years. So it's been an ongoing issue since I've been there 10, 11 years. So.
Okay, here's a crazy thought. Do we need the lake? Do we need the pond? Do we just make it a lateral hazard? Shut it off. Don't buy water.
Yeah, we definitely need the pond. I mean, that's what keeps the golf course alive. That's the water source for the golf course. So, yeah, you gotta have it.
I thought you said we got the water for 9 from 7.
No. That's an extra amount of water we can transfer from hole 7 from that pond into 9. So when we get good rains, we can backfill 9 using the 7th hole. So it just helps.
Okay.
There's really dry time.
I'm sorry, I misunderstood.
No worries. But yeah, it's really important. That's the key water source, and that's where the wells are filling the pond up, is on 9.
Okay.
Anything else for Mark, guys, ladies?
No, let's keep it moving. I'm looking at the clock here as well.
All righty, so I'll jump into food and beverage. So as you received, still doing grab and go. Updated the menus this month. I think Ed sent you everything from Andy with the new menu. So Chef Mark's been kind of revamping, which has been great. Having him outdoors grilling is always fun, and something we're promoting heavily now with the new patio, the way the setup is. Like I said, the branding piece, really kind of key idea of this fresh air. I think everybody feels much more comfortable dining outdoors rather than indoors at this point anyway. So having that space, and as Mark mentioned, certainly hot days right now, but we got a dozen umbrellas up there. We got the small tent up there, and we're fortunate. I think we got the best breezes in town too. It's always breezy up there, being up high. So it's a nice place, and did some nice landscaping. And Eddie just did a little YouTube the other day on it, and that came out really nice. So we're just kind of pushing it through all the social medias and YouTube and out advertising. We got a nice piece coming out in the Lower Makefield newsletter that'll be out. That I think will be a nice piece, nice addition. We're excited to be in there now quarterly, as the newsletter is going to come out. Spoke to Kurt, and so we're really happy to be able to write articles and put a lot of information in that newsletter. So revenues right now, we already kind of went over this. We're 32,000 versus 94. We're just we're going to keep doing everything we can and keep grinding away, and and just working through the governor's orders, and that's all we can do at this point, and try to figure out what's the best way to be safe and provide a great service to our customers. So banquets are obviously nothing going on right now. I did talk with Shannon, as I mentioned earlier, and now we're at a point we got to kind of talk what's the end game for the tent. And interesting enough, with dining being more of an outdoor thing, and if we do get back to green, where we can do more people indoors, it may be a flip of doing our events more indoors and doing just the a la carte dining outdoors more. So the tent scenario may not be as important to try to accomplish getting banquets in the facility. So we're going to play it as it comes, but talking with Shannon right now about, maybe we don't want to put the tent up full time. Maybe we just want it when we actually have a very big outing, and he'll drop it in for us, and we'll negotiate a new agreement with him, just for that day rental, rather than doing it where it's sitting out there all the time.
I kind of agree with that. I think that space is better used, and I think it would be more lucrative, especially now, set up for dining, not under a tent.
Yeah, I agree. But it's funny because Outback took the tent. I don't think they've ever opened that space to serve. It hasn't been.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if it's open. I just think they can't get any help or something. There's nobody there.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough, being in the parking lot of big box stores. So I don't know.
Right.
But
right.
I guess good for Shannon. He could get something going with that tent.
I mean,
I
he's getting
feel for
paid.
him. I know it's been a challenge for him as well. So, hopefully we get a good result. And
I do admit the space looks a lot nicer now than it did with the tent there. But I understand the reason for the tent. So
I love the color of the umbrellas. They're very cheerful.
Yes, they are nice. Yeah. Looks good. Okay, so that's kind of where we are. Advertising, everything we sent you is kind of what's going on. If you have, I don't know if anybody has any questions on the advertising, but it's just, we're pushing it out every day, doing something, whether Facebook or Instagram or YouTube or email blast. And, again, the park and play piece has been a great asset for us to gather good data on our customers and to be able to really connect with them. So we're reaching a lot more folks, and the results are, we can see the golf's busy. We just got to keep pushing along, and like every other business in the world, we just got to get through this place and hopefully get back to some more normal. So we'll see what happens with it, but we're gonna keep pushing it and keep the outdoor piece going.
Thanks, Mike. So I think that's it from Spirit Committee. Let me go around the horn rather than everybody talking and see if there's any specific questions. Jim?
Well, as I mentioned before everybody else came on, I put on Friday, and then we had food and drink on the deck, and it was absolutely delightful. Of course, it was hot, but the food was good. The service was terrific, and I would encourage everyone to come and spend a little money and be supportive. The situation, I think, is difficult, but we can improve upon it if we all help. And the new chef, I think, is doing great stuff. I mentioned to Ed that the fish tacos, for instance, are even better in person than they are in the ad. So gee whiz, let's all do this, and let's encourage our friends and neighbors to come join us, because that's how we can keep this thing solid.
So Jim raises a great point. Thanks, Jim. As far as our role as a committee, in addition to what we do, is I always have said this and see it as ambassadors for the golf course. So, we can share when Mike or Ed, they post something on Facebook, if we just hit share with our friends, it's amazing that if every one of us hit share, it's going to go to 1,000 people. Just guessing what the number of contacts we have on Facebook, and talking it up with our friends. So I think that it's a great point, Jim, and appreciate you bringing it up. Dave?
I played today, and I just want to say that, I think the golfers really appreciated the fact that the course was giving out free bottles of water. I know the guys I were playing with, they really liked that. And the bunkers too, the bunkers on 10 and I think 16 really looked nice. It really came out nice. What about, is there any thought about putting out some ball washers, maybe 1 or 2 ball washers? Can we do that yet or no?
They left it up to the operators, and at this point, it's just another touch point that we, just don't feel like it's necessary, honestly, at this point.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I decided this morning with the heat yesterday and the thing with the bottled water, but I went ahead and made that decision.
No, that's been fantastic, and it's same comments from more guys. So that's a great move.
Yeah.
Thanks, Dave. Helen?
I haven't been there for a bit. So I'm wondering on the menu. So the menu for the public house versus if I were to go tomorrow, which is not Thursday through Sunday, what food am I able to get on the patio or on the deck?
Later this afternoon when we sent out all the notes for tonight's meeting, the second email had the marketing and advertising. On that email has the updated summer menu. So that's Monday to Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's every day now.
That's Monday to Sunday. So.
Yeah. I will mention, for those of you who may see another female on here, it's a gal that has played in the Monday Night Women's League. So hi to Kim Hart out there. So
Kim.
Thanks, Kim.
Okay. Hi, guys. You know, I'm trying to actually put my application in to become a member of your committee. Hopefully, I'll be accepted. Ed, certainly, I know you, quite well, and I look forward to speaking to many of you. And in case you don't know, of all those tea times, I've played about 35 of them since March. And Ed, you know me, they're part of the Women's League and very active participant. So I'd love to help make this all a success. So anyway, more to come. Thanks, Helen, for reaching out.
Thanks, Helen, and Kim, thanks for joining. Colin.
I'm good. I don't have anything to add.
Tim.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Kim, any observations you want to share? Take yourself off mute.
I didn't touch it.
Okay, boy, you're putting me in the hot seat a little bit. So no, but again, I'm glad that you're very much on top of the carts. I will say when I talk to, whether it's other women or a number of other clients, they're all over making sure, what the carts are all about. And I really appreciate that you're talking about the customer, the end user experience, and I know that you're working really hard around that. I do know many of your staff members, and I know that they're all eyes and ears, and they really care about, especially during this COVID period. So I appreciate whether it's Travis or Laura or Joe, et cetera, that they are all doing the right thing to keep the community safe, right down from cleaning the golf carts, so I really thank you for that. Yes, we know about the sprinkler system. I have some ideas about merchandise for both men and women quickly. Certainly more around marketing and so on. And just one comment around the food. So I haven't seen the latest thing, but I do, from my perspective, it's keeping the menu very simple. So as you think about people who are really going down that driveway, those that are really looking to play, it's, making sure you have that pub fare, I think will be able to help you sell perhaps, a little bit more. So again, that's just really quickly. I have some other things as well. My background is more HR, organization development, doing assessments and moving organizations in a new direction. So again, I don't want to steal too much thunder from this group, but I have more to share when the time's right. So thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Mark?
Not much to add. Just looking at the numbers, going to try to just emphasize if we can come up with some promotions to push more merchandise. And because those numbers are really dropped off really bad. I know you have some stuff on sale. A lot of that stuff is 5 years old, some of it. We need to get some of that moving out the door. And do anything we can to get the food numbers up, because the golf numbers have been so good, but it seems like the food numbers are just, and we know why, it's just food and merchandise are really lagging. And we need to put a little extra effort to get those numbers up. Thanks.
Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mark. Joe?
No, I'm good. Everything's good. Thanks.
All right. So I have one, before we end, I have one homework assignment for Dave, for the new members, for Dave and Tim. As new members, now this is your second meeting. If you guys could take some time and make some notes on your observations, Mike and Ed and Mark have heard from the committee members, just endlessly about all of our pet peeves. Mine is pace of play, and Helen's is I don't know, something else, and Collins is something else, and Mark's is about the merchandising in the shop, and let's hear from you guys as new eyes. You've been playing there, but new eyes and voices on the committee. No holds barred. Give us your thoughts. Share it with me first. I'll then share it with we should share it with the committee first, and then I'll share it with Mike and Ed so that they can respond to it. But it'd always be good to hear, not on putting you on the spot, but with a little time to think about it for our next meeting in August. Some of the things that you've noticed over the years, and now as new members of the committee, that you haven't heard in the two meetings that you've been to. What you think we could you'd like to see, or the pluses and minuses. Be positive, but at the same time, don't hold back either. And let's hear what you have to say. And
speaking of next meeting, do you have it scheduled yet, Rich?
no, I don't. I'm going to try again for the third Monday of the month. I got to work with the township on that, but that'll be the plan. I didn't notice if you were taking minutes or not, Jim.
I was frantically. I have pages of this stuff. I'm not quite sure what to do with them or how to distribute them.
So what you could do, and I can check with the protocols with the township, because we're probably about 3 or 4 meetings behind in approving them, is if they're typed up and sent to the committee, we can probably approve them virtually. But I'll find out from the township if we're allowed to do that.
Yeah, maybe you and I could have a conversation about how to how best to do that.
Okay. I don't have anything else at this point. Mike and Ed, keep up the good work. Stay safe out there, everybody. Watch the heat. Hopefully nobody hits the ground in the next couple days out there. Let's just be careful and keep up the good work. It's, as Tim pointed out, that golf course is really full and busy right now. So that's a good thing. So if nobody has anything else, thanks. And then I will send an email out as soon as I hear from the township on the next date.
All right. Thanks, Rich. Have a good
Thank you.
Everybody be good.
Everybody.
Thank you.
Night all. Thanks, Mark.
Tim, your son's doing a great job, so thank you.
Thanks, Ed. I'll see you tomorrow, probably.
Good.
Take care.